Not all those who wander are lost. John Ronald Reuel, or J.R.R. Tolkien, was no exception to this, as he built a world of wonder and amazement, a world that has since its conception swept across the globe, becoming what can only be described as a legend in and of itself. But where did these ideas begin? What inspirations sparked such magnificent writing from this man? Find out as we journey through Tolkien, from inspiration to exploration. Within the pages of Tolkien's less-known work, The Silmarillion, are many tales outlining the history of Middle-earth, leading up to the events unfolding in the more commonly known literatures of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. The perhaps greatest known and dearest to Tolkien himself is the tale of Beren and Luthien.
Not all Tolkien fans know that the tale of Beren and Luthien is probably the most epic of romances known to Middle-earth, easily surpassing that of Aragorn and Arwen. You have a first among the two races of men and elves, a romance that blossoms between a mortal and an immortal. This is simply unprecedented for its time. Nothing like this has happened yet, and so everyone on both sides, men and elves, have their doubts and misgivings for this union. A very similar situation is described to us by William Shakespeare in his play Romeo and Juliet, where you have these two people from separate, rivaling families who happen to fall in love. The disappointment and tragedy of their story is that their time together is so short-lived. They're together for a span of a few days, and then disaster strikes when Juliet fakes her death in an effort to escape an arranged marriage set up by her family, and then run away with her true love, Romeo. Romeo doesn't get news of this plan, though, and so finding Juliet dead, he kills himself in grief. Not much longer after that, Juliet comes to, and finding Romeo has killed himself, she truly kills herself this time in order to join him in the next life. Beren and Luthien, thankfully, get more time together.
But that time, too, is short-lived. In order to win Luthien's hand in marriage, her father, King Thingol, requires of Beren the completion of an impossible task: retrieve a Silmaril from Morgoth's crown.
This task is truly impossible, because not only is Morgoth one of the Ainur, or essentially a god, albeit an evil one, but Morgoth is in his fortress Angband, and with, I quote, "Balrogs were about them, and countless swords, and strong bars, and unassailable walls, and the dark majesty of Morgoth." This was a task no being could have completed. Not with 10,000 men could you do this. He was bound to die trying, and that's exactly what King Thingol was counting on. These tales of the impossible quest really aren't new to us, though. In Greek mythology, Perseus wins the hand of Andromeda when he defeats the sea monster sent by Poseidon. This sea monster being a great, terrible, and seemingly undefeatable creature. But, lucky for Perseus, he happens to have Medusa's head in a sack with him, so he uses that to slay the beast and win Andromeda's hand. A similar yet different chain of events happens for Beren, where eventually, against all odds, he is able to indirectly offer Thingol the Silmaril he had wrested from Morgoth's crown. Sadly, in that moment, Beren passes away from wounds he had just suffered prior to that offer. This throws Luthien into a great depression, so much so that the lament she sings moves one of the gods, Mandos, to plead on her behalf to Manwë, the chief god, for all intents and purposes. This is when Luthien is given two choices: join her kin in Valimar and live forever, forgetting all grief that her life had known. Or, number two, she could return to Middle-earth with her beloved Beren, who had been brought back by Mandos beforehand temporarily. She would become mortal, doomed to die someday just as Beren would be as well. As many tales such as Romeo and Juliet would suggest, she chose love over life, or at least eternal life. She and Beren return to live in Middle-earth, mortal, but happily ever after.
The tale of Beren and Luthien not only burns our hearts with joy and sorrow, but if we look closely, reminds us of these other epic tales of love and sacrifice, and that come what may, love can win out if you remain faithful and true to your heart.
Lay down your sweet and weary head. Night is falling. You've come to journey's end. Sleep now. Dream of the ones who came before. They are calling from across a distant shore. Why do you weep? What are these tears upon your face? Soon you will see all of your fears will pass away. Safe in my arms, you're only sleeping. What can you see on the horizon? Why do the white gulls call? Across the sea, a pale moon rises. The ships have come to carry you home. Dawn will turn to silver glass. Light on the water, all souls pass. Hope fades into the world of night. Through shadows falling out of memory and time. Don't say we have come now to the end. White shores are calling. You and I